On the night of April 14th, 1912, the RMS Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. By the early hours of April 15th, lifeboats were being lowered into freezing darkness. Among the passengers aboard were Isidor Straus and his wife, Ida Straus. He was co-owner of the Macy's department store in New York and a former US congressman. She had been his partner in life for over 4 decades. What happened next has endured as one of the most remembered human moments of the disaster. As evacuation began, the policy of women and children first was enforced unevenly but often strictly. Isidor Straus was reportedly offered a seat in a lifeboat due to his age. He was 67, but he declined, stating he would not take a place ahead of other men. Ida Straus, however, was offered a seat, and she refused to go without him. Multiple survivor testimonies, including accounts recorded in inquiries and later recollections, state that she stepped out of the lifeboat and returned to her husband's side. Some reports include her saying words to the effect of, "We have lived together for many years. Where you go, I go." The exact phrasing varies across sources, as it often does with remembered dialogue, but the decision itself is consistently documented. Picture that moment: the sound of steam releasing, the tilt of the deck, voices shouting, wood creaking under strain, a lifeboat ready to descend, and a choice: survival apart or unity in uncertainty. Ida Straus chose to stay. Several witnesses later described seeing the couple together during the final stages of the sinking. Some accounts say they were seated quietly on deck. Others describe them walking arm in arm. As with many Titanic testimonies, details differ slightly depending on who told the story, but the core image remains consistent. They were together at the end. Both perished when the ship sank at approximately 2:20 a.m. Isidor Straus's body was later recovered and identified. Ida Straus's body was never found. It's important not to romanticize tragedy. This was a catastrophe that claimed more than 1,500 lives. Fear, chaos, and heartbreak filled that night. But within that chaos were individual decisions, some frantic, some strategic, and some profoundly personal. The Strauss story endures not because it changes the outcome of the sinking, but because it reveals something deeply human inside it. On Valentine's Day, love is often celebrated with flowers and words, but the Strauss story reminds us that love is sometimes measured differently, not in gestures, not in promises spoken lightly, but in the decision not to separate when the world is breaking apart. They have been married since 1871, more than 40 years together. When faced with the final separation, Ida chose continuity over survival. Were there other couples who made similar decisions that night? Yes. Were there survivors who later questioned the fairness of lifeboat access? Also yes. History is complex, but the Strauss account is supported by multiple contemporary testimonies and remains one of the most consistently referenced personal stories of the Titanic disaster. At the edge of freezing water and collapsing steel, two people chose to remain side by side. If the moment came when survival meant separation, what would you choose?